What the hell is up, Chiefs Kingdom? We got a
Football,
lot
real
to talk
football.
about. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We got Caleb. We got Quentin. We got me. We got Chris Jones. We got Kadarius Toney with minor knee surgery. We got Justin Ross that's playing like a baller. Had to throw that out there. So what do we want to get into first?
Let's go get to that KT special. Kadarius Toney. Quentin, go and take it away.
Nah, we got to hear this. Let's go.
I mean, it's pretty simple. He hurt his knee. He tore his meniscus on Sunday while he was shagging punts. Had to have knee surgery today. Andy Reid, how he is when he talks about an injury. He's usually pretty light about it. He doesn't like to give away too many details. He says that the team is optimistic that he's going to be ready for the first week of the season, which means he's definitely out for all of training camp and preseason. I don't know if he is back for game one because I don't know why you push it, right? Yeah. But dude, it just sucks. I mean, he had knee surgery today to fix it, but
he had a clean out is what he had. He had a clean out. And what I was told was there was a piece of cartilage that was left over and it stabbed him, and they had to go in there and clean it out. It was basically laser surgery. So I don't think what's up, Scott? We got Philip, we got Scott, we got Arrowhead Report. What's up, everybody? I don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks it is, but modern technology, modern medicine. It's a 30-minute surgery, in and out.
Here's the problem, though, JP. Here's the problem. It happened within the first so many minutes of camp, and it seems as if why are you having your number one wide receiver go and shag punts? Yeah,
that I thought was stupid.
That makes zero sense to me. We got a full house. 0 cents to me. He's your number one wide receiver. If you're saying that you think KT could be the number one wide receiver, you're not even doing that. Tyreek Hill got to a point where they were not even letting him touch punts. So it's a little frustrating. And to also look at it as well, seeing all this happen, it makes me feel a little bit more even nervous about the wide receiver room. I said this months ago, saying that KT, I don't think he can stay healthy, and he couldn't get through entire practice. I don't know what to say at this point. It's very concerning because at the end of the day, it makes me think, can this team figure it out with these decent talent? At least all those other years when Mahomes had to do it, he had some weapons, per se, that were semi-proven. A Juju, MVS. And all really have is MVS and a couple other guys, no like solidified number one wide receiver, solidified guy coming that's been proven. So that's what my concern is, because at the end of the day, it's like, what's going to happen? Yeah, it's a routine cleanup surgery, but that's not good. They had to go into his knee. It's just very concerning.
Everybody's making it out like he got hurt the first 45 minutes he was playing. He was in practice. That's really not the case. The case is that he had surgery prior, and because a piece was left in there, a piece of cartilage, it caused him issues. The first 45 minutes
but regardless, he got hurt though.
Yeah, he had to have surgery again.
It's
concerning to me. It's concerning to me because you have an offense where we know the number one guy is Travis Kelce. Okay. Other than that, though, there's not a lot past Travis Kelce. And yeah, I have Patrick Mahomes, but when we traded for Toney last season, all of us on this show and a lot of Chiefs Kingdom were like, oh, this is a trade for the future.
Yep.
This is not a trade for this year. This is looking towards the future and how we're going to build a quality wide receiver room around Patrick Mahomes. And the guy that you want to build your wide receiver room around, tears his knee.
Well, injuries happen.
No, and
I'm not as concerned as everybody else. Look, man. I guess nobody has any faith in Richie James. Looking at his practice film, he looks great.
That's not nobody has issue, any faith JP.
Nobody has faith in the other 11 wide receivers we have right now.
Listen, if you're going to listen to anyone, listen to me. I know he has Spencer Quinn. If you're going to listen to me, Dude, you can't put all your faith in all those eggs in that basket when he has a proven injury history. That's why I was beating down the door saying you got to get another proven wide receiver.
And who knows? They may still do that.
I don't see Richie James as being it. I need to see it. I don't know. I didn't even know Richie James was a football player until I saw him got taken by. I'm just being honest. I don't watch Giants games like that. So, and most players I know, and you know that, JP, Quinn, you know that.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He looks like he's doing good. But, I mean, I know with Juju, and Juju did pretty well. It's just a frustrating situation. I hope it works out, and I think it will, but I don't know. It concerns me a little bit to see that happen quite early.
Look, man, knowing Veach and knowing the way this team operates, I'm not that concerned, but that's just me. That's just me.
I mean, I think Richie James can be a 500 to 700 yard receiver. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't want to expect really any of these guys to come out and be 1,000-yard guys because nobody's proven it.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's the scary part is that when 2 years ago, when you brought Sammy Watkins in here, right? You knew Sammy Watkins had an injury history, but you had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill on this roster. So you knew that you were like, okay, so even if Sammy or when Sammy gets hurt, when he has his foot problem again, I've got two superstars on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And since that point, we've sort of, we're losing those superstars. And that's what happens when you pay your quarterback.
Yeah.
That's how salary cap league works. So Travis Kelce's getting older. I still think he's going to be a very productive guy. I still think 1,200 yards from him. But there's only so much you can expect from one receiver. And I'm just worried. It's like, where's the production going to come from?
Yeah. I mean, there are some guys available. There are some guys available. What does Philip say? He said, we will be fine. Mahomes is building great chemistry with the new guys, Rice, James, and Justin Ross. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong with some chemistry has been shown. I don't know. It's just scary a little bit, but what can we do?
Well, right now, I think we have 11 wide receivers on our roster. I mean, total. And I'm not saying all 11 are going to stay. Of course not. But we have room to make trades. We have room to move things around. We still don't know. I still am really optimistic about Chris Jones signing. I'm still hearing the same thing I heard on the last show that we did, that he's not asking for $30 million a year, or on the spaces we did, I should say. So I don't know if, that if we have to go out and sign some, there's guys available.
Yeah.
If we have to go out and sign somebody, we will. There's a trade that we can make. I mean, there's something that we can do, and Veach is always 2 steps ahead of everybody else. So I'm not real concerned with the Kadarius Toney situation. I'm more, I guess, I'm more hoping that Chris Jones just gets done and this is over with, because I'm tired of the talk.
Yeah.
The wide receivers, they're all looking really good. Honestly, they really are. I mean,
I hope
Richie James made a stupid catch. Where Justin Ross has made like ignorant catches. I mean, shit that you wouldn't expect out of him that quickly. Who else besides Justin Ross?
Has John Ross done well at all?
Who?
John? I don't think
he was. Yeah, he played a little bit with Gabbert and did okay. I mean, he was catching what needed to be caught. He's. It's hard with him because I see him as a very fast guy that has a lot of growing to do, and I just don't know that he's going to last.
Yeah.
He's just not picking it up. And I got to tell you, between Sky Moore, Justin Ross, Richie James, and Rashee Rice, which is fucking phenomenal. I mean, he's making ignorant catches out there. And look, man, they're not playing games with him either. They're putting McDuffie on him.
Rashee's doing great.
He's doing great. And McDuffie's
I don't know if he'll get 1,000 yards per se, but he's looking very, very, very good.
Yeah, he's looking really. I think they're all looking good. I mean, they're putting their best corners out on these guys, and they're pressing them hard. And there was one catch that I think it was Justin Ross made that I don't think there was any more McDuffie could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ross about the over the top one. It's on our Twitter feeds. He like caught it basically kind of like this, and there's nothing he could have done, like right in the basket perfectly.
Yeah, it was a perfect catch, and it was perfect coverage. To be honest with you, I mean, I don't know. I'm not as concerned with the wide receivers. Mahomes makes everybody look better. He made freaking D-Rob look better. Well, so when you make D-Rob look better, then you're okay with the group of guys you got. Yeah. You know. Let's get into this Chris Jones shit. I want to say hi to everybody. We got Philip, we got Scott, we got Will, we got Arrowhead News and Rumors Report. We got Scott, we got everybody in here. So let's get into this Chris Jones crap. The Twitter rumors are flying. Everybody hates him. Let's see. I've seen again. Veach is an idiot. Needs to be fired. If you can't get Chris Jones done, then there's something wrong with him. Half the people are saying that Chris Jones is a baby and wants too much money. All over an article that was put out, and everybody is just falling into the trap of the article. I've talked to 4 people, and all 4 of them have said this is a guarantee situation more than it is a yearly contract. Chris Jones is not stupid. He knows that $30 million really means 22. He knows that. When it all boils down to it, it doesn't mean $30 million a year. It's just a fictional number, and you're probably not going to see it in your, all of it's going to be backloaded. If you're trying to get $30 million a year, it's going to be backloaded. He wants guaranteed money. I see him signing for about $1.05 with about a $70 million guarantee.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen. It's going to happen sooner than later. They both need each other. That's the thing. It'd be different if one didn't need the other, but they both need each other. And it's that simple. They really do.
When I look at this whole situation, I do agree with you, JP, that I feel like that article probably is a little bit over-exaggerated in certain instances. I mean, it's Adam Teicher. He has put stuff on the past. People have not liked what he's done, so take it wherever you want here or there. It does concern me, though, with a couple different things. Number one, when looking at this whole situation, I really like Chris Jones as a player. But if the reports are true, and I'm saying if they were true, so he wants $30 million a year closer to Aaron Donald, I personally don't see how the Chiefs give that money to him. Aaron Donald's paid that money because for the last 10 years or so, Aaron Donald has been dominant, breaking through double teams, just doing everything all around. And Chris Jones hasn't been to the last 4 years. He's really kind of gotten his own, especially with this new scheme with Spags and stuff. Spags have developed. And when you look at that as a whole, I'm kind of like, you want all this money, but you finally had one of the really great postseasons this last postseason. And the years prior, I mean, yeah, stuff happened, but it didn't arise to the moment or the occasion. So when I look at that, I'm kind of wondering, I'm like, well, I like Chris Jones, a player, but it just seems like it cannot be done. Number two, $30 million. The Chiefs are not going to set a precedent when it comes to paying a player $30 million. The only person who's going to make that much money is going to be Mahomes. That's the only person that's going to make that type of money. Case point, that's just unfortunately what's going to happen there. And when you look at that, yes, they both enjoy each other and like each other and also need each other. But the issue I have is this. Every time we get into a contract situation, Chris Jones always sits out of OTAs, mini camps, and then complains about coming to camp. I feel like at this point, enough's enough, and Veach needs to take somewhat of a pseudo stand. You need to come to practice and work. You know what's expected. You're under contract. This is not something like a 7 years, $18 million contract. He's been paid fairly well. And also, when you look at the end of the day, I feel like also you should also want to help the team. Restructure like Kelsey, restructure like Mahomes. I don't really know if Chris Jones has done that. You said he's had done that in the past. But it seems like is this about the team or is it about myself at the end of the day? And obviously, we all make a choice to do what we want to do, but at least come to camp. I think I was having a conversation with Quentin or someone. At least come to camp and sit on the say you're tired and go on the tent and things and basically be there. But why are you taking a $50,000 fine? Just show up, do some light work.
Because your agents that you have are telling you to, because if they feel like if they're going to get a better deal for you, and that's more money in their pocket.
This could backfire. And there are already teams that the Chiefs, I believe, who could trade for and not get 5 or 6 picks. They'll probably get 3 to 4 picks, or no less than 2.
I think they'll get 3. Yeah,
I just feel at this point, all this complaining about the contract and sitting out. At this point, this is the second or third time he's done it. It's over. It's just old news to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
What about you, Quentin?
Contract is interesting to me because you had all offseason work on this.
Exactly.
And the whole deadlines make deals, right? Like the last time Chris Jones was in this position, he was on his franchise tag. They franchise tagged him, and they were able to get it done before training camp. Mm-hmm. So that's why I thought they were going to be able to get it done before training camp started, because the last time this happened, they were able to get it done. So it is.
Yeah, but it was a year later. It was actually the off season of the following season.
I mean, they got a long-term deal done. He never played on the franchise tag. Mm-hmm. He got franchise tag, but they got it done before the deadline. So whatever that July, like that second week in July or whatever,
something like that.
July, they were able to get it done. Yeah. So this didn't roll over into training camp. So I thought they were going to get it done before training camp started. He's already taken $150,000 in fines because it's $50,000 a day for practice. Today was the third day of practice. He's racked up $150,000 already, which is just crazy to me that if you're that concerned about what you're going to be making and you're already taking enough to buy like a Lamborghini worth of fines. So I can't believe it's not done. I thought it would be done. With that being said, I mean, at a certain point, these guys do got to look out for themselves. I don't blame him necessarily for this, but the situation just isn't great. I thought we were going to, after that Quinnen Williams deal got done, I thought within the next couple of days, the Chris Jones contract was going to be done, because I thought they were waiting on that Quinnen Williams contract to get done just to see where that was at. They could figure the Chris Jones contract out, and we would be done talking about training camp and not talking about contracts, by the time this show rolled around. I figured that he's going to get something like $28 million APY, $72 million 4 years, and that's it. So it'd be right under that 30 million mark. So it's, a couple million below Aaron Donald, but it's a couple million above Quinnen Williams, which to me is right where Chris Jones is. Aaron Donald is clearly on a level by himself, but he's significantly better than every other defensive tackle other than Aaron Donald. Mm-hmm. So sort of setting that middle mark, I think, is where Chris Jones belongs.
Well, you've seen it, and going back to what Caleb said, he's been number 2 for 4 years behind Aaron Donald.
Really, and just this year, you could say he made the challenge for number 1. Yeah,
exactly. So there's 2 factors that I look at when it comes to this contract. First of all, to answer your question, Quentin, they had a deal worked out it was actually prior to the season ending. They had a deal worked out. It was done. In March, and this is on Veach a little bit, I guess part of it was the NFL rules, and then part of it was on Veach. They should have had this deal signed. But I guess it was right at the end of February, beginning of March, when they found out that Quinnen Williams was coming up and was going to be extended, his agent said, hey, hold up. Let's just wait a minute. And if you're looking at it from both aspects, it's kind of smart. If you're from a team perspective, you jump the gun and pay him too quickly, and then you're overpaying because Quinnen Williams' contract wasn't what everybody assumed it was going to be. Then you look like a fool if Veach overpaid him, kind of like everybody bitched about Frank Clark's contract. Then, on the flip side of that, if you're Chris Jones's agent, you go, wait a minute, let's see what Quinnen Williams gets. It's a gamble on both sides. So they both kind of played the, let's see game, I guess, what happens with Williams before we do anything, which this happened with another player of ours. I'm trying to remember who it was at this point, over the last 5 years, and they waited too long, and it ended up costing them more money than it should have. Now, with Chris Jones in 2019, was it 19 or was it 18?
It's probably 19.
19 when he held out. There was a report that came out that said that, Chris Jones is going to get paid in 48 hours. His contract's going to be done. I found out that it wasn't, and I knew, and we actually reported it on the show, and I put it on Twitter that it wasn't going to be done until the following offseason, which it was the following offseason that they got it done, which is fine. This is still the situation. Now, the one thing I did hear, and I think it's kind of comical to a degree, Veach has got hardened a little bit by the dick in Arizona, the GM that left for medical reasons. The medical reasons he left was because he didn't want to get his ass kicked by half the players on that team. But it hardened him, and he's changed his mindset when it comes to certain things. And he's the type of guy that will say, okay, we'll restructure Mahomes. You're going to play on this franchise tag, or you're going to play on this last year contract, whichever's less, as far as the Chiefs are concerned. And it's last year with the Chiefs. It's your contract year, so you better play your ass off.
But here's the issue, and I can understand why Veach is irritated. Why are we doing this song and dance 2-3 times? Why are you not?
It's the second time.
I mean,
it's the second time.
I understand he has leverage, but it makes zero sense to me why this continues to happen.
It happens because
if he wants money,
he's not
then
the only
maybe
player holding out.
I understand, but if he wants money, then maybe it's time to trade him. He's already got 2 Super Bowl rings. That's more than many people have. This entire franchise like the Bengals have. I mean, at this point, it just makes zero sense to me. These guys preach in front of everyone, oh, we want to be good. We want to have a team success, do this X, Y, and Z, do this, that, and the third. And then you hold out in camp and stuff like this. This is the time to teach the younger guys like a Corborn and many others what to do. I mean, if we lose Jones, yeah, that's going to be a detrimental hit.
Oh,
I don't see another Trish Jones coming out for another year or two. I see issues like this in the past when it came to DeForest Buckner. He was with the 49ers when the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl. That offseason got traded to the Colts, and they got like a first-round pick back for him. I don't know what we're going to see here with this situation, but it's just concerning. And I would not be surprised if Beach is kind of like, well, forget this. If you're going to continue to go back and forth with us over these deals, $30 million a year, I just don't think it's feasible. And if it's not a true report, and JP, I'm not going against you, so don't take this personally. Yeah. If it's not a true report, why isn't he going out there and quote tweeting the article, replying and responding to it? Saquon Barkley, though, someone put out something that said he was going to be traded, and he basically commented cap under it. Why isn't Chris Jones doing that? Because I'm just saying, if I was a player, I would be saying stuff and putting stuff out there. Obviously, there are different issues, but I just feel like at this point, what can be done? Because there's some issues and some fracturing there.
Can I jump in here?
Go ahead, Quinn.
Go ahead.
I don't think trading Chris Jones is an option, because if you're going to trade him, you had to do it before the draft. Because in order to build your team and recuperate some of that value, you needed to be able to use that in the draft like they did with the Tyreek Hill trade, right? They did it before the draft. They were able to spend those picks, improve the defense, yada, yada, yada. Doing it now during training camp, what are you going to be able to do about it? Really nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to be able to trade him away, get a haul of picks back, and then improve your team from there.
Exactly.
So trading Chris Jones is simply not an option at this point in the season.
That's more of the end-all, be-all, like last nuclear option threat if you're just refusing and they can't get a deal done. I mean, similar to kind of like the Khalil Mack situation when he was with the Raiders. They traded the Bears. I don't want him gone. It just seems like this situation, it's like, what are we doing here? We're running through the same problem every couple of years.
It's happened twice with him. It happened with his first contract. Look, man, this is something that we talked about on the Spaces the other night. When you're in his position, that position particularly, you really only get 2 long-term contracts. You don't get anything more than that.
That's true. Yeah.
And then after that, when you hit that 30 mark, or after that second contract, I should say, then it's 1 and 2 year deals for minimal amounts of money. And I don't blame him for wanting what he can get, but his mindset is more guaranteed money than it is what it shows on paper that I'm making every year. Because he knows just as well as everybody else does that's a fictional number. Everybody I have talked to, especially that day that stupid ass article came out, I mean, man, I fielded calls left and right, and it was insane. I mean, from media guys to just everybody calling me saying, "Hey, is this real? Is this real?" And because nobody believes anything Adam Teicher says, which is understandable. He hasn't been right about anything, but it's just the fact that it's happened twice. When you're on your last leg of your long-term deal, you want to get as much as you can, but in his mindset, he wants more guaranteed money, and I understand why. I mean, he knows that fourth year is nothing. He knows that that's the year he gets traded. He knows that he's going to end up like Frank Clark, and he knows that Veach hates dead cap space. Yeah. So he's going to go after as much as he can possibly get, guaranteed. And if it doesn't say $30 million a year, which I don't think it will ever, then that's what's going to happen. Unless Veach is creative and comes up with a different way. If that's real, which I've heard it isn't, but if it was real that he wanted $30 million a year, Veach would have to get very creative with a contract for a 4-year deal to where he doesn't see anywhere near that. I mean, he would have to see it like a guaranteed style of what he wants, about $70 million, $75 million in that range. And there's a ton of guys holding out right now. You got Bosa that's holding out. You've got Jacobs that's probably not going to play for the Raiders this year. I mean, from what I've heard from the guys I know here, he's not going to play for the Raiders this year. So that they're probably going to be looking for a running back pretty quick. Saquon Barkley, he signed back with the Giants for a measly $1 million, basically $900,000 and another 100, or maybe it was $850 and $150,000 more with some kind of weird incentive. But he basically went from $10 million to 11.1. So it's to me, it's kind of obvious he wanted to stay there, or he wouldn't have signed back for that because he could have gotten that money somewhere else. Could have. I mean, it's that simple. I think he's planted roots, kind of like Chris Jones has in Kansas City. He's got businesses. He's got things going on. He's comfortable where he's at. I think Chris Jones has said it numerous times. He'll never play for another football team. And I still believe that. And, how many times have we seen players hold out of OTAs, mandatory, non-mandatory, sometimes training camp, just because they don't feel like they have to go. They don't want to go. And that happens a lot.
I'm just a firm believer you should go.
Oh, I am too.
Camp.
Yeah,
go. I agree. This is a team you need to build the chemistry, figuring things out. Any coach knows you're only going to get better if you're practicing. Now, he's probably doing stuff on his own. I wouldn't say he's not. I mean,
Saturday.
He's doing stuff. I just at this point, it just baffles me. We're still in this situation 3 years later. So that's all I'm going to say.
He went fishing Saturday, by the way, just if anybody wouldn't know. He was out catching tuna. So
priorities.
I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not that concerned with Chris Jones' situation right now. I don't see him going anywhere. Again, if anything, he plays for whatever his contract is for the year, and maybe he's gone after that. Veach will figure a way out of working. I mean, as we said, if we restructured everything we could right now, even if you exclude Chris Jones, it's $60 million. So he could easily restructure and pay him that $30 million, $29 million that he's owed and be done with it if that's what he wanted to do. And Chris Jones would have to play his ass off. If you look at some of the stuff on Twitter, you got guys out there saying, oh, God, I don't want him to be lazy if he plays on this year. Okay, man, look, man, how many times have we said it? Contract year is undefeated. If you're not signing a long-term with the Chiefs and you know this is your last year, you're definitely not going to go out there and pout. You're not going to go out there and play like shit. Everybody and then I had a couple people on Twitter try to compare Tyrann Mathieu's situation with Chris Jones. It's two totally separate
those are two different situations altogether.
Yeah, two totally separate deals. I mean, there was turmoil. There was other issues going on internally that had nothing to do with his contract. So, and honestly, if that would have been the case, do you think he would have gotten the deal with the Saints that he got? Probably not, because it was the same money that we offered and we gave Reed. So I just don't see it happening. I feel like he's going to be back. They're off Thursday. I have a weird feeling he's going to be back Friday or Monday. I don't think he's going to stay. He's not going to eat $400,000 or $500,000. They're going to get it figured out. And
he's already eaten 150.
I understand.
And they can't wipe that off either.
No, they can't, but his agents can. And that's the difference. His agents can say, okay, well, if we get you this amount, and that honestly, man, agents are slick. Say if he really was asking for $30 million, okay, and they say, okay, well, here's the deal. So far, you haven't gotten it. So what if we get you 28-5 and we eat, 85% of that fine that you're incurring by doing this? Agents have every right to be able to do that, and there's nothing that says they can't. They can take it out of their fees. They can do a lot of different things to where he'll never see that. That won't affect his actual bank account. So, yeah, the team can't bail him out of it, but his agent sure as hell can. And I think they would. That's the biggest star they have. The Katz brothers have a lot of players, but that is the biggest star they have. That's their payday. That's simple. That's who pays them the most. So they're going to go after as much as they possibly can. So they're, going back and forth with Jones, and they're going back and forth with the Chiefs. I'm sure they've probably tried to snake their way into talking to other teams to see if anybody would give them anything for that. But
they might. You never know.
It's not really legal, right? But they do it all the time.
That's understandable. So,
yeah. It's just part. Agents love to make money. They love to stir the pot. They love to do a lot of shit. I mean, it is what it is. So I think that's why I'm not really upset about it. I'm not concerned as much as everybody else. I think Chris, he wants to play for this team. He wants to retire a Chief. He's made that very clear numerous times. So I feel like it's just going to be one of those things that at the end of the day, all these people that said F him, let him go, trade him, and all this other shit, you're going to be seeing a lot of deletes coming off of Twitter again, just like we see every year.
Yeah.
Just like everybody deleted the tweets about Frank Clark. Oh, God, I wish he was back. His contract sucked. Oh, he sucks. Yeah. Oh, God, I wish he was coming back. I mean, that's what happens every time. So this is part of the league. It's part of the entertainment of the league. It's, it's like the WWE situation where they get you all fired up for one and then something else happens.
Well, that's fake.
It's like that is fake.
Well, depending on who you ask.
And then the NFL is scripted. So, I mean, no matter how you look at it. So they all get handed a script before each game. So
that's true. I didn't know I signed up to get my ACL torn, but that's a story for another day.
So. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All
right.
Well, let's go to move on into the kind of our overall thoughts on camp, rookies, individuals like that. I want to start off with one player, Generic Pierce. He is looking really good. Catching everything that's been thrown his way, running hard. I hate to say this, and you guys probably may or may not agree with me, but this is my hot take. Clyde will not make it through training camp the way Pierce is playing. You have a three-headed monster of Pierce, Pacheco, and McKinnon.
Yeah.
They have a three-headed monster similar to what we have in 2015, which are Kendrick West, Spencer Ware, and Jamal Charles.
Yeah.
I just don't see Clyde here anymore, to be honest with you.
I've been saying that for weeks and months, and I'm telling you now, I don't think he's not going to make it through camp. I mean, if he makes it to the last week of camp, he's going to get cut or he's going to get traded. Just telling you. So what's going to happen? They're not going to keep him around. What's the point? What's the point?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Quentin? Do you think Pierce is basically taking Clyde's spot, or do you think he's going to make it through camp?
I don't think it's unrealistic to think that they keep 4 running backs on the roster.
Okay.
Because if they don't carry a fullback, right, they just carry an extra running back.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you carry an extra wide receiver, though, when you got McKinnon that is a wide receiver already and a running back and a blocker?
Well, I'm just saying that if they are viewing this as, a situation where, man, look at all 4 of these guys, we've got our 3, this undrafted free agent, he's blown us away, we got to keep him, we got to protect him. Well, numbers-wise, we aren't carrying a fullback this year, so let's just keep an extra running back. And the rest of your numbers across the board would be the same in terms of the amount of offensive linemen and corners and all of that would stay the same as it was last year. So I don't think it's unrealistic to have the Chiefs carry 4 running backs into the season.
My only pushback on that would be, the only pushback I have on that would be we're not a running football team. We're a passing football team. And if you're going to keep anybody extra, especially not, with the uncertainty of Toney, maybe not starting week 1 or having some issues that everybody seems to think he's going to have all season long, I would say they keep an extra wide receiver in place of the fullback and dump the extra running back, the dead weight. That's just my opinion. They didn't. There's a reason why they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and it wasn't because he didn't go to the parade. So
it came down to.
I mean,
stats.
that's a money issue.
Yeah.
Well,
inevitably, one of these running backs is going to get hurt and is going to miss multiple weeks. Who knows? One of them might need to end up on the IL. Mm-hmm. So let me carry 4 running backs into the season. When one of them gets hurt week 2 or 3, I can put them on the IL. Mm-hmm. I still have 3 running backs on the roster, and I can just move forward in my life. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just think that there's some logic to the Chiefs keeping 4 running backs heading into the first week of the season.
Well, they have 5 right now, right?
I believe so. Or they could put one on the practice squad and just elevate them too.
Because they have a guy that's on the practice squad.
If they put Prince on the practice squad, I'm worried he'll get stolen.
I'll be honest with you. The way Prince has been playing, the notoriety he's getting, I don't see the Chiefs doing that. I can see that he's going to be a practice squad protection, or he will make the roster. And I have a sneaky feeling he might make the roster just due to his play as a whole.
If they're going to keep any wide or running back on the practice squad, it's probably going to be Clyde. I mean, I got to be honest with you.
He could be signed, but the Chiefs could very well find a running back on another roster too. I mean, there's guys out there. A lot of guys are cut today, and there's going to be a lot of guys cut tomorrow and through the end of the next week and the week after that in training camp.
Yep.
I'll be interested to see how his blocking is, Prince's blocking is, because we know that that's been a holdup in the past. Mm-hmm. We know Pacheco, right? Mm-hmm. Last year, it wasn't his running or his ability to get the ball out of the backfield. What held him back was him picking up the blocking schemes. So I'll be interested to see, moving forward, what we hear about how he's picking up the blocking scheme, picking up extra blitzers, etc. Because that will determine where his spot on the roster is.
Well, and I think it's when you look at the fact that they brought McKinnon back, not just because of his skill, because that's 80% of it, but I mean 20% of it is the fact that he can teach Pacheco how to do those things, and he's arguably the best blocking running back in football. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another notch in the belt, is the fact that we got McKinnon that's able to teach these younger guys how to do these things that Clyde can't teach them. I'm sorry, but Clyde can't. He hasn't seen the field enough, and he really wasn't that great of a blocker when he was on the field. So, I mean, I'm not a big Clyde fan. I haven't been since his first season, to be honest with you. He had a halfway decent half a season. It seems like every time he comes out, he tears up a game.
He has like three or four great games and gets hurt for a season, and then comes back. Yeah. And partially, I mean, and it sucks. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about that. It's very interesting kind of see from that standpoint. But looking at Pierce, I mean, I think he could do some great things. Philip sent me a text yesterday saying he thinks he have 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Philip, I love you, man. You shouldn't really for the next galaxy there. I'm hoping though. So, but let's move to go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, I got Justin Ross getting 1,000 yards, this season. So,
well, that was the next player I was going to move into. I'm guaranteed we've all seen the Justin Ross clips that have gone pretty much viral. He's doing great. Oof. I mean, I know we've had some issues in the past.
I'm going to tamper expectations here because I can.
You're good at it.
He better look good in shells. Are you kidding me? He better look good in shells. No shit, he's catching the ball one-handed and over the back shoulder.
But they're putting hard press on him, man. They're not letting him just go out there and catch shit. They're putting McDuffie and everybody else on him, and they're making them press him hard.
With those gloves catches. And just some fucking pads on, I can catch the ball.
Quinn go out there and it's going to knock. He's going to destroy all the cornerbacks. Those gloves
got more stick to them than George Brett's pine tar bat.
I don't know about that. That bat was sticky.
You're going to make some people mad. That bat was
sticky, icky. No, man. Justin Ross has got the tangibles, bro. He's good. I don't care. He's good. He's able to make the catches. He's able to turn his body around. He runs great routes. He's big. I don't know, dude. I got all the faith in the world in this kid. I really do. I think he's going to have a hell of a season. I put the 1,000 yards up there to mess with you, Quentin, but
that's a lot, JP. That's a lot. Come on, JP. I enjoy talking to you too, but you and Philip are going kind of a little off the deep end with these 1,000-yard predictions.
I know
why you did that.
Yeah, I did that just for Quentin. But
I know why you did
I do feel like he's going to be. I feel like he's going to be a huge part of this, man. Between him and and Rashee Rice, they have both made some. And I think what I like about it the most is everything that I've seen come out of camp is that these guys are not letting up on them. They're not. It's not like the normal camp. Yeah, you're running in shorts. You're just learning the routes and all that shit. They're pressing these guys hard. They're pressing them like if they were playing in a game. And you're playing against one of really the top 5 corner safety rooms in the league. Mm-hmm. And they're pressing them that hard and they're able to make those catches. I'm not complaining. Mm-hmm. I'm just not. That's why I'm not so concerned with our wide receiver room, because I feel like all these guys have picked. Justin Ross has had a solid year to learn the playbook.
Yeah, and plus he had a year to heal up. What kind of Brian Pringle had. I mean, he wasn't technically hurt, but they're like, we're not going to lose him. Let's just say he has a
Toney had a full off season to heal, and we see how well that works.
Quinn, you killing the vibe in here, man. Come on now.
You're the vibe killer, man. Now I got to put that in his name. Your name's going to be so big, nobody's going to be able to see you.
I'm gonna be like one of those old, like English lords where my name is like 16 words long.
Yeah.
Quenching the beer of knowledge and the doubter and the buzzkill.
Oh, grouchy man. He's like the old grouchy guy,
Yeah.
Oh God. What do you say? What Phil's got going on here? He says, my homie Phillips. Brian says, got to remember that there's a good chance Ross might not get that many yards, and I agree, because Kelsey will still get most of the bulk of the touches. I agree with that to a degree, but in the same aspect, if you don't have certain players out there, if they change the scheme up, you never know. He may end up being a 500-600 yard guy. You just don't know yet. We don't know how it's going to – I mean, Quentin, I will give him this. He said it numerous times, how many guys are going to last 17 games? So it's – and when you really think about it, it's going to be more than 17 when you get to the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs were a very healthy team last year, and there were some guys that – remember we had our left guard take tackle snaps last year because of injury. So, there are going to be some games where guys are playing out of position, and that's just the way the NFL works. We've been pretty lucky with reasonably limited injuries, but that's just the way football is. Injuries are going to happen, so you got to build a team to prepare for that.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like with all the wide receivers we have in this room, and then there's a couple of guys that they're considering bringing back, and I feel like one of them should be brought back. And I'm going to preach his name because I watched so much of his film, is Boo Boo Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He was brought in.
He would be the returner. I mean, we don't have to worry about him hurting his knee.
I mean, and think about it. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that never had a special teams coach that actually drew up plays for special teams. Mm-hmm. Everything he did was on his own. It was improv. Mm-hmm. I think he would destroy the field if he got on there with us. And he's fine with being – dude, I've talked to him numerous times over the last week, and honestly, he's fine with being a return specialist. He's okay with that. What I like about it – huh?
Who's the other guy you're saying? We know about Boo Boo Smith, but you said there's another guy you want the Chiefs to get.
As far as returner is concerned?
Yeah, you said – I thought you said there's two.
Well, there's Nico Ramingo.
Yeah, there's Nico Ramingo.
Yeah, that is true.
Nico Ramingo, he Fresno?
Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno State. Mm-hmm. I remember I watched his tape during the draft, and I was like, this would be a great steal to get in the 6th or 7th round, and the Chiefs end up getting him as an undrafted free agent. Yeah. So, instead of Kadarius Toney blowing his knee while shagging punts, why don't you
send him? Dumb. I'm sorry, that's dumb on the Chiefs' part. I'm sorry, but he's
number one receiver.
Yeah, you don't do that, man. I don't believe for a second that was just ignorance. Whoever decided to put him out there, whether it was Reed or it was Dave or whoever, it was stupid to have him out there shagging punts if you had him slotted as your number one wide receiver. You shouldn't have done that, especially after he came off a knee surgery. And then you go and put him out there doing that, then you're asking for trouble. You're asking for an injury. Here. It's true. It's true. I mean, it's just dumb. It's dumb on his part for doing it, and it's dumb on their part for allowing him to do it. I'm sorry, but I mean, if we wanted Staley in here as a head coach, you know.
We don't want that, and don't speak that into existence. Take that back.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's something that you shouldn't do. You know, the guy just came off of something like that. He knows he just came off of it. I know he wants to prove himself. And when you're young and you're stupid, you're going to do stupid, dumb things, like go out there and try to prove yourself when you shouldn't.
That was a long time ago for you, wasn't it?
A long time ago. Moby Dick was a minnow. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's
No, I hear you. It's just one of them things. We all hope it's going to work, and I think it will be. Maybe some money can move around this whole situation. But I guess we can kind of move on to kind of one of our last areas we want to talk about. Justin Herbert contract. That like 5 years was like $266 million, something crazy like that. Every day the Mahomes contract looks better and better.
100%.
And better 100%. And better. Every day.
Hey, and whoever it was that argued with me on this show about that, which I don't know if it was you, Caleb, or if it was Tommy, or somebody argued with me about that on this show one day, that Joe Burrow was going to get his contract before Herbert. You were wrong. I told you guys Herbert was going to get his contract first, and there's only one reason behind that. Because, first of all, Cincinnati's trying to build a Mahomes-style contract, which they're not going to be able to get done. They're not going to get 10-year, completely, fully,
10-year deal.
Bonus roster-style deal. They're not going to get that. I don't even think they'll get 10 years. I don't think there's trust on either side to do that, so I don't think that'll happen. But also, everything is based off of what other teams do with lesser quarterbacks. So, of course, Cincinnati was going to wait and see what Herbert got. Now, and I'm not saying Herbert's lesser of a quarterback than Joe Burrow, because I really don't think he is. He's plays for a shitty organization with a terrible head coach. So, if he played for another football team, I tell you what, right now, if he would have played for the Jaguars last year in that championship game, that would have been a lot tougher game than we went up against. I'll just put it that way. That would have been a lot tougher game. Herbert's a better quarterback than anybody's giving him credit for. He's poised, he's young, he's humble, and he's strong. Mm-hmm. And he makes very good decisions. So I'm not going to – he's just got a terrible organization and a horrible coach. But
that's why I was kind of surprised he committed long term, because I'm like, what happens in a year or two when they end the same result? I mean, yeah, they made the playoffs, but they completely choked 27-3 and blew that lead and lost 30-27. I mean, that's pretty bad at the end of the day. And yeah, you can put some of that blame on Herbert, but also a lot goes on the coaching staff too. So I'm just kind of curious to see how long this will be for him. Also, I feel like there should be a set bar, set of quarterback wins a playoff game, and he has not. I mean, it's safe to say now maybe they're going to do it. But, I mean, Chargers have shelled out a lot of money to guys like Khalil Mack. Jackson, who came over from the Patriots. They've given a lot of money to these guys now, Herbert. So we're going to come down the line where Keenan Allen or some other individuals next year or two will not be here due to the money and all the issues and things that are happening there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to hurt them in the pocket long term in the next 2 years.
Yeah, so there's not the guarantees. The whole contract isn't out yet. So there's just some of the information about the guarantees. It's a total of a $262.5 million contract extension. He's going to be in LA through the 2029 season, which, as far as I'm concerned, is not a real year.
No.
There's a no trade clause in the contract, which I think is interesting. It's $133.7 million in fully guarantees and $193.7 in injury guarantees.
Smartest man on the world for that team.
So he doesn't get stabbed in the lungs.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's huge deal, man. That's huge. This is the third quarterback to get a contract this offseason, right? Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and now we've got Justin Herbert getting a huge deal. So
that's actually the fourth. Didn't what's-his-face from the Giants get one this offseason as well?
Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
There's some huge contracts being passed out this offseason.
And that's okay. Let him pass it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
keep
funny
shoveling that money out there.
When you look at his APY, Lamar Jackson got $52 million. Justin Herbert got 52.5. So that's
a kick in the teeth against Lamar Jackson in a lot of ways.
He's at least won a playoff game.
Yeah.
And won an MVP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
My point. I don't know. I don't know. That year he won the MVP. That could have went 3 different ways, but he won it.
JP, he was the best player that year. He was
dominating. He was good. There was no schedule
was kind of weak, but he was dominating.
He was. I mean, again, I agree with you. The schedule was weak, and I'm a big proponent on strength of schedule. And I noticed that, and we talked about it that year. If you guys, I know people that listen to the show remember. What's up, Joe? We talked about it, and we said his injuries are coming, and when they do, it's going to be it's going to be like a perpetual motion. It's going to continue to happen. He had 4 injuries. And that's all that running. And I knew at some point a DB was going to go after his knees or go after his ankles or something was going to happen. And that's exactly what's happened to him. So, I don't know. Herbert shows me a lot of toughness. And I kind of understand why he signed with them. Look, it's your first deal. Who are you going to go to give you after, that playoff loss? Who are you going to go to give you that kind of contract? It's your first deal. Quarterback's a little different than. I mean, you can get 3 or 4 different extensions as a quarterback. You don't necessarily get that with, or 3 or 4 contracts, I should say. Mm-hmm. So, long term, you don't necessarily get that with wide receivers. You don't get it with defensive players. You don't get it usually with offensive players. So, I can't blame him for taking the first deal. It's 5 years into his contract. He's going to be 24 now, so he'll be 28, 29 years old when that contract comes up. He's still got a good 6-7 years left in him minimum, as long as he stays relatively injury free. Why not take it and run with, and then get a really fat ass contract from somebody else?
And that's the one thing I'm thinking too. If this doesn't work, I mean, a team could trade for him down the line, but I mean, it's kind of unlikely. But I mean, again, at the end of the day, you never know. So
yeah.
Well, the Kirk Cousins time of doing it of how to manage a contract in terms of running out your rookie contract, franchise tag, free agency doesn't work for the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
No,
because it will almost always be worth it to franchise tag you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way that it is. Kirk Cousins, when he got franchise tagged, it was sort of a deal for him because he was getting paid top end quarterback money, even though that he was an average quarterback. Justin Herbert gets franchise tagged, even if it's twice, where he gets an extra 20% added onto that.
Exactly.
He's arguably a top 4 quarterback, so that's just going to be his market value anyways.
Absolutely. So why not pay him?
Yeah, these quarterbacks, these top quarterbacks, it's in their best interest for themselves to get themselves locked up long term. Now, I'll be interested to see if when that contract details come out, if he has a no franchise tag clause in there. If at the end of this contract, where it just says that he can't be franchise tagged by the Chargers, that would be interesting because you fight for a no trade clause, but not for the no franchise tag clause. Yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Hey, I like this question. Will put this out. He says, if Patrick Mahomes was not the quarterback of the Chiefs, which quarterback would you rather have? Let's run the panel on this. Caleb?
I would say, is this all time or our quarterbacks
right now? Who's playing right now?
I would take. This is my opinion. You guys may agree, and I agree with it. But I would personally want Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. That's what I would want as my quarterback.
All right. What about you, Quentin?
I mean, in terms of just the best quarterback in the league, I think Herbert would probably be on there. I think you see that he's got the big arm that you want in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. I do think that he is a leader, and I just think that he hasn't had a ton of opportunity to display that in terms of, high leverage moments. But, when he's in prime time, he shows up. So I think he's there. I think the other one would probably be Joe Burrow, even though that's going to piss off a lot of people. I think Joe Burrow is probably the guy that I would go with, but Herbert's right there.
I agree with you. I would go with Herbert over anybody just because of his poise, his humbleness, the fact that he's got an extremely high football IQ. He's tough as nails, and with a good coach like Andy Reid, he'd have already had a ring. I look at other guys that like Joe Burrow. Of course, he blew his knee out, came back, did okay. Wasn't the greatest, wasn't the worst, but when it all comes down to it, it didn't take like Hurts. It took him 3 years to really.
Well,
He had
to be
one
fair,
really
that
good
team was
season.
built. That team was building, and they were having coaching issues internal. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that they were dealing with, though. Too.
I know, but so does Herbert. And look at he's still been
But
he came
there
out of
was
the chute
organizational
winning.
trust from the top on down to the coach. What the Eagles were dealing with, that Howie Roseman, those other guys did not like what Peterson was doing, and Doug Peterson was like, "I just won the Super Bowl. Let me figure out what to do." So I think there was some issues behind the scenes, and now you see Doug Peterson is doing great things with the Jaguars. So.
Yeah, I just see looking at how Herbert handles himself. He came out of the. I mean, he got thrown into a game against us that he never expected to be in.
Yeah,
I mean that
looked damn good doing it,
and looked damn good doing it, and that's why I think, wow, this kid hadn't even seen the field yet, and just comes out blazing,
calling the shots.
Yeah, if he had a coach that actually had trust in him, man, he'd be good. I think he'd already have a ring. If he played for the Chiefs, he'd already have a ring. I think he's that.
That's
good.
saying something. I don't know. Herbert can run. I don't know if Herbert can do some of the moves like Mahomes has been doing. I'll be honest.
Well, no, but think about it. If he had a coach like Andy, and say he played for us in the 2019, 2000, in that era when the Chiefs were Kelsey, Sammy, Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
You had all the tangibles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, and then had
some damage.
He could do some damage. I just feel like he's fought through a lot to stay with that crappy ass football team, and he's won a lot of games with a crappy ass football team. He really has. It's not his. I can't put all the blame on him, even though everybody always puts the blame on the quarterback because he's the quote unquote leader.
Yeah.
But when you got terrible coaching and you got everything else that is terrible when it comes to your team besides you, it makes it difficult. So that's who I would probably go with. Who Joe said? Joe said got to be Burrow. I don't know. I can't go with Burrow. He's too arrogant for me. I think he's too arrogant for Andy. I really do. I think he's too arrogant for. Oh, by the way, I saw Donovan McNabb on oh God, what was he on?
Thank you,
Celebrity
Joe.
Family. What did he say? Late getting to the party tonight. Have you talked about our glass slipper, Toney? Yet? Oh, whatever, Joe. That was wrong, man.
Hey, one of the guys on the radio used to call Sammy Watkins Glass Watkins. So,
yeah,
that's pretty nice compared to what I've heard on the radio.
That's true. No, I saw Donovan McNabb on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune the other night. The man has gained some weight. He looks like a linebacker, bro. I mean, he's got that gut. He
played football. What
on a football field with football?
Yeah,
I know, but look, man, some of those guys that were on there were aged and look good. I mean,
well, he got beat up, so he's probably like, I ain't doing no more running. I already got paid.
He did. He did get beat up. What's his name that played for Pittsburgh all those years?
Jerome Bettis?
No, I don't. There's a lot of players. The only Steeler I know off the top of my head is Troy Polamalu.
No,
Polamalu. I thought
Polamalu. Yeah. God, what is his name? I can't think of it right now. He was on there and he looked really good for his age. Because he's up there. I mean, he's my age, so he's up there.
Ancient.
Yeah, he's old. But some of the guys look really good. Adrian Peterson was on there with that group of guys, and he still looks like he's 25 years old. But I couldn't believe that when they said Donovan McNabb, and I looked at him, I thought, damn, that don't. Oh, yep, that is him. He turned around and I went, oh, it's Donovan. He's gained some weight, but I don't know, man. I just feel like
you guys have any goers here.
I just think I don't know. I just like his demeanor when it comes to Herbert. I like the way he plays the game. And
do you guys, before we ended, do you have any last thoughts about training camp before we end it?
Nope. The Chiefs will face Marcus Peters in Vegas this year, but that's it.
Yeah, I can't wait till that happens. I can't wait until that happens.
All I'm gonna say is my last thought before we end it. A lot more is gonna happen. Keep watching guys like Pierce, and specifically kind of watch our defensive group. I think they're going to turn some heads this year and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Just keep watching training camp because they are putting the presses on this offense right now. And they're actually putting the press on the defense as well. And I think they're really trying to get these guys ready for the season. You got a group of rookie wide receivers, man, and a second year guy. So 2 second-year guys. One of them, glass, like he said, glass slipper. But Will said I pick Herbert. 2, do you think Herbert could do better in Andy's offense? No. Nobody would do better than Mahomes in any offense. I'm sorry, but I'd say that if he played for the fucking Raiders, and I hate the Raiders. Mahomes is the best quarterback to play this game. He just is. Nobody, and I've had, look, man, I will say this. I had the first years of his career, he was number 2 to Mahomes. I mean, I don't know if he played with a really bad football team and did very, very well. So he had one target. When you really think about it, he had one target, and that was it. And he just made the best of it. So, but Mahomes is on another level of everybody. You got Mahomes, and then you got everybody else, and that's just kind of how it works. But with that being said, I wouldn't put too much worry into this Chris Jones thing. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. It's going to end up getting done. And if it doesn't, honestly, it wasn't meant to be. But I just don't see it going that direction. It wouldn't. It doesn't benefit either party to trade him, and it doesn't benefit either party to just keep holding out. So somebody's going to get it figured out. It just is what it is. With that being said, we appreciate everybody joining. For Joe, that's always late. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. CT. Now, when the season starts, it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Sundays is whenever the game ends. So if the game is, late game, it's, after that game. But we can't really control that one. But we do know that for Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's absolutely 8 p.m. CT. Thank you, guys.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Or wherever you get your podcast, because every one of these are on 39 podcasts in 43 countries. So you can hear it wherever you want to. Peace out, everybody.